In this lesson, we're going to work on inequalities. First of all, we're going to do a review of what we did last unit. And so what we're going to do is we are going to find the value of each variable in the equation. I'll do a couple with you, and then I'll ask you to complete the rest, and then we'll go through them in class. So 6 times 8. Well, 6 times 8 is 48, and then we're going to add a 0. So that's going to be 480. Move down to the next one. 7 times 8 is 56, and I'll ask you to do the rest for us to go through in class. Pause the video as you do it, and then we're going to work now on inequalities and equalities. An equality is an equation that has an equal sign. So it means that the answer, the solution, is 2. And when we graph it on a number line, we make a tick mark at 2 and we put a solid filled in circle to show that it's exactly one answer, which is 2. An inequality is a range of answers. So an equality, one solution. Sometimes it could be 2. But an inequality has a range of solutions. In this case, it says x is less than 2. So that means all real numbers that are smaller than 2. So we're going to put a circle at 2 to show it can't be 2, but it's going to be everything that's smaller than 2, like 0 or 1 or negative numbers. Let's review our inequalities. When it points to the left, it's less than. And if it has the bar underneath, it's less than or equal to. If our arrow is pointing to the right, it's greater than. And if the bar is underneath, it's greater than or equal to. If we have an equal sign with a slash through it, that means it's not equal to. So we are going to show on a number line and give examples for the x. Before we do that, we need to remember that if it's less than or greater than, it's going to have an open circle to show that when we are graphing, it cannot be this number. It's either bigger or smaller than the number. If it is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, it's going to be a closed or filled in circle, because that means it can be that number or bigger, or it could be that number or smaller. So it's a closed circle. Okay, so looking at our example, it says show on the number line and give 4 examples of a solution for x. First of all, this symbol means greater. So we're going to make a tick mark on our number line, and we're going to label it as 5, and then we're going to put a couple to the left, which are smaller, and a couple to the right, which are bigger. And at 5, we're going to make it an open circle, and then it says greater. So we're going to shade all the numbers to the right. That's where our numbers would be greater. So we want to give 4 examples of values that are bigger than 5. 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on are bigger than 5. In the next example, this symbol means less than 23. So we're going to make a tick mark at 23, and we're going to make a couple values going to the left, which are smaller, and a couple values going to the right, which are bigger. We're going to do an open circle on 23, and this time it says less than 23. We want the values that are smaller. Give 4 examples of numbers that are smaller than 23. 22, 21, 20, 19, and so on. Any numbers that are smaller than 23. Next example, it says x is, looking at the symbol, is going to be greater than or equal to -2. So we're going to put our tick mark on our number line and we're going to label it -2. We're going to put a couple of values that are bigger than -2 and a couple values that are smaller than -2. We're going to put a closed circle this time since it could be equal to -2, and we're going to shade to the right because that's where the numbers get bigger or greater. 4 examples of numbers that are greater or equal to -2. We could use -2, -1, 0, 1, and so on. Those numbers would be bigger than -2. In our next example, it says x is less than or equal to. So we're going to make a mark at 12.5 on our number line, and then I'm going to say 13, 14, and so on. Or I could go backwards and say 12, 11, and so on. So since it could be equal to 12.5, I'm going to put a filled in circle, and now we want less than, so we're going to go to the left. Less than is to the left. So as numbers get smaller than 12.5, could be 11, 10, 9. You could also use fractions and decimals. It's your turn. First tell me what the inequality symbols mean, and then graph these inequalities on the number line.